Okay, hello again. Today we're going to be making a tutorial. I'm going to be making a tutorial about how to resample. First of all of the sounds that you hear in this track I'm about to play you are available on my Skrillex pack. I've also got a Datsik one out, and you can check out you can listen to all of the sounds in both packs. There's a link in the description, so you can check them out, and if you like them, buy them. Advert over. Oh, the drums, by the way, are just from a sample. It's not mine, it was on a loop pack or something. But anyway, I've just thrown this together. It took about 10 minutes or so. It's not very good, but it's just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. And it continues like that, so it's pretty cheesy, isn't it, really? But anyway, I'm going to be showing you how to resample. But first, by the way, this tutorial, if you don't know the tips I'm about to give you, you're going to absolutely love this tutorial. There's some really cool ideas. For example, have you ever tried to do this? Right click, slice to new MIDI track, and then magic happens. And now once that's done, on my MIDI keyboard, I can play each note individually, and it's also sliced it for me, if you can see that. So I'm just going to solo this track, and now you can see it's playing it all the way through, but let's move something around. If I move it around, you can see so you can have a lot of fun with that. Anyway, that's something for drums. Cool little tip. Right, let's get into what I wanted to talk about today. We're going to resample this sound. I've chosen this sound because it's not the most complicated sound on the pack, and the reason I've chosen a sort of uncomplicated sound isn't because you can't use complicated sounds. You can. The best thing to start with is the best sound. Obviously, you want to make the best sounds you can. But I've just picked a fairly basic sound just to show the power of resampling, like what can actually be achieved with it. It can be quite astounding, really. So what I'm going to do is just give you a little. So it's already a fat sound, but you need to, it wants to be. I'm going to try and make it a little bit more vocal. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to create a new track. I'm going to hit record. I'm going to turn over. I'm going to go external in, to change the audio from external in to resampling. Click in, click record, and then obviously it just overlapped. You can see this tiny little area here, it overlapped just to keep it clean. Press Ctrl Z or edit undo to get that, and now you can see we have this. Oh, I need to go back to auto. You can see how we have that as a new track, and now I can actually get rid of massive entirely, and that's really cool to save on computing power. But this is where the fun starts, really, because you can do all sorts of things here. I'll just show you some of the things. You can transpose it down here, so you can get it to change the pitch of it, which is actually quite sophisticated how they've done that. You can change, so now it's half speed. And then you can change it back. One cool technique is to change, because it adds its own kind of signature to a sound. To do that, the way they time stretch something is they chop it up into thousands of little samples and then loop each one, so it appears as if it is sounding kind of the same, but you can always hear the little artifacts that it's added, and those can be. So if I was to do that and then record it now, and then on the resample go back, it adds artifacts both ways to the sound, you see. So, and that's a cool effect that some people like to use on its own. So there you go, another tip for you. But we're going to do some effects-based resampling. So I'm going to add, I don't know, let's try this one here. I'm going to add an effect on this. So I'm going to configure the mix. Okay, so I'm going to show the automation on the mix, and then we're going to just mess around with it a little bit. Let's try doing this. Oops. Try doing this. Oh, fuck off. A bit fiddly. Let's do, yeah, let's repeat that one. You can do show automation in new lane, but I've forgotten where it is. You can just copy and paste it. But anyway, let's have a listen to that. So it's added something. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. Now I'm going to add, I don't know, let's try adding a vocoder, because I was going to try and make it a bit more vocally. So let's just add a little vocoder in there. Let's put it on modulator. Let's have a listen to that. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you something else. Because how much time have we got? Okay, I've got about another 7 minutes to go. So, yeah, what I'm going to do now is resample this into here. Let's just do that quickly. What am I doing? Yeah. Okay, get rid of that one. Go back to auto. Okay, so now we've got that. I'm going to just duplicate that a couple of times, 3 times. And now I'm going to pop them into here. Oops, into, oh, fuck it up. Pop those into here, here, and here. There is another way of doing this, but it's either ways. This is probably the quickest, I think. Anyway, I can't really remember the other way. You do something with where you export it to, and then you can split the frequencies like that. Yeah. So what we're doing now is splitting frequencies. I'm sure there's an easier way of doing this. You can, yeah. I think just multi-band dynamics will do it, but this is I think this is probably the best way. It's the tidiest way to my mind anyway. So we do this, we're going to make this one effectively a low pass filter, and we're going to call this bass. We're going to make this one a band pass filter, essentially, like that. And we're going to call this one mids. You can see where I'm going with this, can't you? So bear with me. That one's called mids. We're going to change this one to a bandpass filter. Not really, that was a little joke. Obviously we're going to do it as a high pass, and I'm going to call this one high. So now obviously if we play the sound, that's only playing, okay, that's playing the different frequencies, you can tell that. So we're not interested in the bass. You can't really do a lot to the bass. A lot of people will just take the bass out entirely and put a more powerful sub underneath, and there's a much more powerful sub available on my pack, which is a proper sub. You know, a lot of people don't know how to make a sub anyway, enough of the hard sell. We're going to concentrate on the mids now, so I'm going to add that vocoder again to the mids this time. And then let's have a little play around. We don't want that, we want this one. Yeah, we're getting a bit of vocal sound there. Sounds like it's saying yeah, yeah kind of thing. So I'm going to show that automation. Oh, that's how you do it, yeah, show automation in a new lane, that's the one. Forgot where it was. So let's do this. Oh, actually, I've got. And then copy and paste that across. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then with the highs we can do something entirely different. So I think we'll perhaps a tiny bit of reverb to the highs, turn that down, short decay. Oh, I'll tell you what's a good thing to do as well. If you get like a ping pong delay or any other delay, and then this is actually better if you do it in Reason. Reason's one's much better, and obviously now you've recorded the sounds. If you use Reason, you can just import them, mess around with all of Reason's effect, then drag it back into here. I mean, really, you can spend, you know, ridiculous amounts of time on this type of thing, and it does become a bit of an obsession. But let's just add that and have a listen to how the highs now sound. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of movement to that. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's have a listen. Okay, now obviously you can go on and on and on, and I'm not going to do that because I'm running out of time and I want to watch Arsenal against Barcelona. So I'm going to just wrap it all up now, and I hope it sounds good. If it sounds terrible, because I haven't listened to it obviously, if it sounds terrible, it sounds terrible. But you know, whatever, you've got the techniques at least. Okay, so I'm going to turn all of these off. This is where my method of doing this comes into its own, really. I'm going to get rid of, because we've already resampled into the bass, mids and highs, so I'm going to get rid of that. You don't have to though, it's quite cool, you get a cool phaser effect. If you, actually I'll show you that, it's another little trick. I'm going to keep the original sample this time. I wouldn't normally do this, because you can add this effect in other ways, but I'm just going to move it slightly out of phase with the rest of them, maybe a little bit more than that. And that might add a really cool dynamic to the sound. Again, it really might not. This might sound shit. I really hope it sounds good. But anyway, we're going to resample all of those sounds back together. Okay, so I'm going to do that. Turn it round. This is the familiar thing we've been doing. In from resampling. It already anticipated that was what I was going to do. I think I didn't tell it to do that, did I? Anyway, whatever. We go to in. Press record, press play. I didn't have to do that quite so many times, but anyway, there you go. Now let's get rid of all of these, get rid of this one, get rid of this one, and get rid of this one, and put this one back to auto, and now we have significantly different sound. Okay, now it doesn't sound like Skrillex, it sounds probably less like Skrillex than it did from the original, but let's have a listen to what it's done to, oh, I got rid of, oh, that was stupid, I got rid of the initial sound, so you can't really remember what it was like before, but whatever, anyway, you get the message. Oh, sorry, how many bars do I want? Yeah, 2. Let's go with this. Put it back into where it was, and now let's have a listen to our newly resampled bass. Oh yeah, I've turned all of these off, haven't I? Okay, so that's pretty much the end of the tutorial. I'm sure you've learnt something. I hope you have. I hope that's a cool new technique. Obviously it didn't sound amazing in the end, but you know, it's something that takes hours, not minutes. So yeah, and you've got to keep listening as you go. The thing is with resampling, you can get lost. You can get so lost in it, and you can, because you spend so much time listening to the same sound over and over again, it is a frustrating and tedious process. And because you spend so much time listening to the same sound over again, you kind of, it's weird, you lose all perspective on what sounds good and what sounds bad. So one tip I would give you is less is more. Don't go mental with effects. Once you know something sounds fat, just leave it. It's fine to just leave it. Don't keep going, because you will lose the original sound file. Obviously you can keep saving as you go and then choose the best one. But yeah, that's it, really. Yeah, cool. Alright, take it easy.